Apocalypse is on the horizon. Disasters and catastrophes of different kinds are looming. Their causes and effects are intertwining and feeding back upon one another. This is not in the distant future. For many, the nightmare is already here. Capitalism is causing problems that it does not have the time frame of operation to solve. And also, very importantly, it is obscuring our knowledge of the situation. We do see the problems, but only some of us. We see the interconnections, some of us. We see the political economic common cause, capitalism. Fewer of us, but still a significant number of people.
You know, it may be because the attention span of the people in the media is as short as the attention span of the American public.
There is an unfortunate sense as well of powerlessness, that there really isn't very much that can be done about the state of things.
I'm sorry to say, really, that the suburban family in America is really going down the wrong path. So what is the impact on the ordinary citizen around? Well, for a few years he can buy another large car, he can smile that there's not a cloud on the horizon.
Capitalism allows the knowledge of impending disaster to be produced, but at the same time it ensures that a collective consolidation of that knowledge is impossible. It ensures that sufficient knowledge cannot be produced and disseminated and internalized by sufficient number of people so as to provide the political will for the radical change to solve the problem. Hurricane Katrina and New Orleans are a perfect example of this.
Are you saying this was a natural disaster, pure and simple?
A natural disaster.
Well, a hurricane is.
What hit the Mississippi Gulf Coast was a natural disaster, a hurricane, pure and simple. The flooding of New Orleans was a man-made catastrophe, a federal fuck-up of epic proportions and decades in the making.
The saddest part of this man-made catastrophe was that it was all predicted long in advance. The problems caused by the gradual destruction of the flood-protecting wetlands, the engineering inadequacies of the levees, the communication breakdowns, the policing problems, the evacuation failure, and the general lack of a proper emergency preparedness plan, all these things were warned about by scientists and others long in advance, but nothing was done. This is another aspect of the dystopia thesis: structural mystification. Structural mystification is the dialectical opposite to the process of knowledge production and dissemination. Its cause is the social inequality of power relations bound up with knowledge, and capitalism has that built into it. Structural mystification manifests itself differently in different historical and cultural contexts.
There's an apposite quote from Dr. Goebbels. It's a kind of an explosive, thing to invoke here, but he said once, and this is an example of how sly he was, that what you want in a media system, and he meant the Nazi media system, is ostensible diversity that conceals an actual uniform.
There is an illusion of of choice that's maintained when you can have 100 channels on your cable system, and how many movies did the studios release a year now? All these different studios, and the music industry with so many labels, and magazine stands that go on and on and on forever. Well, the owners are a handful, 5, 6 different companies.
Structural mystification manifests itself differently in very specific ways in different institutions. But all the institutions will have fundamental contradictions with respect to knowledge and mystification. For example, education.
Education is a spectrum from true free thinking to unquestioning obedience, complete compliance. Mindless regurgitation. Mindless regurgitation. You are not being educated. You are being indoctrinated.
Power relations determine what gets certified as knowledge. That is to say, in a general way, socially accepted and transmitted as knowledge. The education system reflects this.
They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers.
Carlin gets to the heart of things, but his take on it is too one-sided, because in some respects the system genuinely is about disseminating real knowledge and encouraging real critical thought, though at the same time it actually works to prevent just that process. And Carlin is right. It does so because it is guided by the interests of the powerful. This is no more true than with respect to history. Individuals may be in possession of the relative truth, while society has certified a less true theory or belief or fact as knowledge. Not only that, but society may have been powerfully emotionally conditioned through ideology to reject fundamental truths about the human condition.
Capitalism is destroying our environment. Capitalism is leading to the destruction of humanity. Capitalism is barbarism. Humanity is a choice between socialism and communism. Capitalism is destroying our environment. Capitalism is leading to the destruction of humanity. Capitalism is barbarism. Humanity is a choice between socialism and communism.
Socially certified, power-certified knowledge may or not be genuine knowledge. It is necessary to make a distinction here between genuine knowledge and alleged knowledge socially certified as such, but which is not really so. Error can and does get socially certified as knowledge. This is no more evident than in the mass media.
This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it ever falls into the hands of the wrong people. And when the largest company in the world controls the most awesome goddamn propaganda force in the whole godless world, who knows what shit will be peddled for truth on this network.
The process whereby public belief is manipulated can be a relatively simple process of advertising budgets and corporate bribery. Or the mystification process can be much more subtle and sophisticated.
People who immersed in the surrogate reality of television life deal on a daily basis with a reality totally unlike any that has preceded it. The image stream is a steady, mixed-up stream of real, unreal, and semi-real events. All of these events end up merging with each other and becoming just another set of stored imagery that have all similar reality values.
You're beginning to believe the illusions we're spinning here. You're beginning to think that the tube is reality and that your own lives are unreal. You do whatever the tube tells you. You dress like the tube. You eat like the tube. You raise your children like the tube. You even think like the tube.
But the mystification process is much more complex still. It is not merely a question of media effects. The world's social inequality obviously engenders pain for the poor. But the relatively affluent middle classes of the developed world are not happy either. The capitalist ideology of individualism and materialism runs deep, and it contributes to selfishness on the one hand and alienation on the other. A collective narcissism has emerged from the emptiness of consumerism.
You don't love me! I only love myself! No one will love me like I love me!
Individuals are too overwhelmed with their own life problems to worry much about the state of the world. Capitalism provides an infinite number of distractions. Some of us are self-absorbed, some of us are overwhelmed, some of us are asleep.
Alone. Get a job. Get a
World Week. Threats by Al-Qaeda.
Most of humanity is in an absolute hypnotic trance that is they're put in from cradle to grave by constant repetition of a fake reality. And when we wake up...
But some of us are awake. It is impossible to overstate the immensity of the suffering that exists in the world. It is impossible to overstate the dangers facing humanity in the future. The situation is dire. But still, it is not absolutely hopeless. No, the fundamental question with respect to dystopia is, as always,